crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here with a card for the Summer Coffee Lovers blog hop. This is a really fun blog hop hosted over at coffeelovingcardmakers.com, and there are a lot of really awesome sponsors, including Newton Snook Designs, and I will have a card featuring Newton Snook later on in the hop. And so by entering a card or several cards between June 17th and June 24th, you can be entered to win prizes from the various sponsors. So for today's card, I am starting with the Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock from Ranger, and I like this cardstock when I want pure white. I wasn't sure how much color I'd be using and if the white would still show through in the end, and so if in case it did, I wanted to make sure that the white of my cardstock fit the white of the background paper that I use, like the card base. And I am starting with two different stamp sets. The Sentiment is from the Greeting Farm, and the coffee cups are from Create a Smile. Create a Smile makes some adorable critter stamps that I love, but they also came out with this really fun coffee set and has a lot of different coffee cup images in various sizes. And so I'm going to be kind of mixing it up with some different sizes today. As you can see though, I'm not super great about cleaning my stamps after I use them, and there was a lot of black ink left on this mug here. However, Versamark, if you stamp it in the Versamark and wipe it off onto your surface, it actually helps to clean it pretty quickly. But you could of course just use any sort of stamp cleaner as well. I have used the one from Ranger, but I also like the Lawn Fawn. It's a stamp cleaning chamois, I guess is the word for it, and you just spritz some water on it, and that works pretty well too. But in this case, since I am working on some grid paper, I just sort of cleaned it off on the paper there. And I am stamping all of these down in the Versamark ink and then adding some white embossing powder over them. Because you're stamping on a white background, you could also use clear embossing powder. Whichever one you have on hand will certainly work. But in this case, I wanted to continue to make sure everything, again, was bright white. So I thought that I would pull in the white embossing powder in this instance. And I'm stopping periodically to put the embossing powder over it, because when you stamp with the Versamark ink, it can be a little bit difficult to tell where you've stamped, and when you add the powder over it, you get a better idea of where you've stamped, and it helps me to fill in the spots, because I want to make sure that from the top left to the bottom right is pretty full with the variety. I have two coffee cups that are the traditional mugs, and then a teeny tiny to-go cup. My other favorite thing to do with the teeny tiny to-go cup is to make the little critters from Create a Smile holding it, and I had a card like that as well as part of this hop, so you could check that one out too, and I'll leave a link in the video description below. But these are super fun to use by themselves or to mix and match with other stamp sets. So now I'm going to heat emboss and basically melt all the embossing powder. And the way that I like to do it to kind of prevent some of the warping, although nothing I've ever found is like perfect so there's no warping, is to heat both the back and the front, and to hold the paper a little bit away from your table while you heat it so that there's like some air for the heat to pass through. Sometimes if the table's sort of trapping the heat in, that might cause the paper to get more warm and warp more. Once I had my heat embossing finished, I'm ready to add some color with these Ken Oliver color bursts. These are the new tropical colors. They're a lot brighter and a little bit more fitting to my personal style and color palette. And as I add these colors, all of a sudden you'll be able to see my stamping. The stamping that, we've been working on it and you can't even see what's going on, but now the pattern will come out with the color burst here. And if I get an area where the color is a little too dark or concentrated, I can certainly just sort of mop it up with a towel. Now here's where using that paper grid mat was a bad idea, because all of a sudden the color burst is soaking right through it. I worked on a craft sheet for years, and I just used the white grid sheet to sort of brighten up videos. However, I do have a little clear sheet here that I can also put down sometimes. And this is just one of those plastic dividers you can put in a binder. In order to spread the color burst color, the purple, out to the edges of the card without adding more color burst and making it super intense, I am just taking the paper towel and dipping it into the areas that are a little too intense, and then pulling that color to the areas that don't have any color yet, out to the edges essentially. So that way the purple that's being transferred is a lot lighter, because color burst is a very concentrated, highly pigmented color. So you see those spots where I drop it right down onto the paper stay really, really intense even after I dab at them with a paper towel. In order to make sure the color burst doesn't spread too much, you want to be able to apply less water. This can be a little bit tricky to do. If you're adding like spray to it, usually gets the paper really wet and spreads it a little too far. So I was trying some other methods like wetting a clean paper towel and spreading it all over the surface. But eventually I got a fun combination of colors onto my background, and it lets you see that sentiment in all those different little coffee mugs. And I finished it off by adding a purple border around the card and attached it to a card base, and that is it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you are interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll leave you links to the Summer Coffee Lovers blog hop in the video description below so that you can join in and you can check out product links there as well. Thanks for watching. Bye.